At 5. It didn't
All right,
start?
now go ahead.
We are live at 5 for the second Ask a Realtor show. Thanks for joining us. If anyone has. Who's going to answer? We have great questions this week. Thank you to everyone who sent them in. And for those of you watching, if you didn't send in a question yet, please send us in an Ask a Realtor question. We're going to have a guest maybe next week, Ask a Lender. So if you have lender questions, send those into. We always give away a $25 gas card. We have a drawing for
if people who ask questions.
Thank you. Who wants to answer the first one?
I'm up.
Courtney is up.
The first question is from Chelsea Wagner. She asked, what are your top 5 tips for the first-time home buyer? So, number 1, talk to a lender first. You want to know what you can afford before looking at houses. If you look at a house that you can't afford, it's going to be hard for you to get over it if you really like it. Number 2, hire a buyer's agent. It may not cost you anything, and this is someone who works for you and only you. They don't work for the seller. So if you're driving past a house and you see a sign and you want to call the person on the sign, instead of calling a listing agent, call your buyer's agent. Number 3, prioritize your wants and needs. There's a big difference between the two, and prioritizing them will really help you find the perfect house. Something that you can't change is the location, so that would probably be a need for most people. Number 4, renovations aren't as easy as they look on TV. A lot of times unexpected costs can come up when buying a reno property, so you want to keep a cushion there. Number 5, you want to get a home inspection. Some buyers will waive this because it's an upfront cost, but it'll be worth every penny, and then you'll know what you're buying. So thank you, Chelsea Wagner.
Yay!
Next question is from Tyler Devonshire. He asked, do I need to be pre-qualified before writing an offer? The answer is no. But we strongly recommend it. Your buyer's agent will likely advise you to send a pre-qualification letter from your lender in with your offer. When the offer goes to the seller, the listing agent will probably advise the seller not to accept an offer without that letter. Making an offer is like sending a resume to your employer, and you want to show them that you're serious about the house. So definitely you want a pre-qualification letter first. Next is from Jenny Pfeiffer. Do buyers usually like landscaped lawn or a fresh slate to build their own landscape? I think that most buyers would prefer an already landscaped piece of land. It adds a lot of curb appeal, and a fresh slate of dirt or something, or just grass, doesn't have as much curb appeal. So whatever you can do to give your house that, it'd be a good idea. So that was from Jenny. Thank you for your question.
She's hard to follow.
Am I?
You did great.
Thanks.
I'm not following.
Okay, the question asked by Tyler Devonshire, it says, if I am selling a house with you, how would you market the property? The good news is Castlegate Realty gets your house out to thousands of other agents through the Lehigh Valley MLS and the Pocono Mountain MLS. We also advertise on Zillow and Trulia, which are the big 2-time apps that everyone's using to search for houses on their on their phones. We use Facebook as well, but a new tactic we've been using is a Zillow coming soon listing. What that does is it creates kind of a feeding frenzy for buyers. They see the house, they see the pictures of it, and they can actually get a showing with the seller's agent before it hits the market. But what that does is it gets us multiple offers sometimes, and we can really attribute that to a lot of our houses selling in the first 2 weeks. We advertise on Facebook, we boost the posts that we are advertising with, and we have a drone that we like to use for our great pictures. Thank you, Tyler, for that question. Does adding a half bath increase the value of your home? Was asked by Jenny
Pfeiffer, I think.
Pfeiffer. Okay, in short, yes, it increases your value. Appraisers will value additions differently based on the home location and the home value. Other examples of things that can increase your value are finishing a basement, adding a bedroom, adding garage stalls, things such as that. But new paint and carpet usually will not increase your appraised value, but it will increase your likelihood of selling. So Jenny, thank you for the question.
I had a that was easy button, but Lee just hit it way under the table, so I can't use it. All right, my first question from Scott Stay. Shout out to Scott, all our friends at PJ Wellahan's. Scott asked, how does geothermal heating and cooling affect the value of a home? He also asked, how does solar affect the value of a home? Scott, sadly, there aren't enough homes in our area that have this to allow us to have comparables and a measurable amount of increased value. Having said that, buyers who are familiar with either of those and want them are usually willing to pay more for it. We just don't have an exact amount of how much value that is. And of course, that's going to depend on how old the systems are and how paid off they are, if you will. Scott also asked, how often do you have to replace solar panels? Solar panels have a lifetime of about 40 years, a lifespan. The warranty is usually around 20 years, but it's important to note also that the inverter in the system usually has to be replaced within 10 to 15 years. The good news is solar has come down so much in price that usually the systems are paid off in about 7.5 years. So Scott, hope that answers your question. My next question is from Danny Town at Beltsville Lake Estates. Dan asks, is property value in Beltsville Lake Estates going up or down? Dan, the good news is property values are definitely going up. They're going up all across the county in the price ranges up to about $200,000 to $220,000. What we're finding though, if you go on our website, cometothecastle.com, under stats, it shows average sale prices. And interestingly, the average sale price in 2017 for townships and boroughs is almost across the board lower than it was in 2016. This surprised us at first until we looked at it further. And what we found is because the inventory, the number of houses available to buy, is going down. There's not many houses available. Investors and buyers are buying the fixer-uppers, if you will, the lower-priced houses that maybe didn't sell as much before. They're now being bought up as well. So when you put that into the mix, the average is going down. The only place we've seen that values are not going up would be 250 and above. What we have is a little bit of a glut there. There's a lot of houses for sale and not as many buyers. But in Carbon County, that's been the way. So specifically, Dan from Penn Forest Township, Beltsville Lake Estates is Penn Forest Township, half of it, and half of it to Mensing Township. The average sale price in Penn Forest Township for 2017 was only $124,504, and the average sale price for Mensing Township for the year 2017 was only $157,862. Those numbers are both down from 2016. But again, that does not mean that the values are down. It just means that more of those low-end homes are being purchased. All right, I have a question here from Rosalind. Rosalind Wagner asked, how much dollars or percent of equity should you put into a kitchen remodel in order to increase the value of your home but not lose money in the process? Good question. The safe answer is, generally speaking, you can spend between 6 to 10% of the total home value and get a fair return. So if your home was valued at $150,000, you could put $9,000 to $15,000 into the kitchen remodel, and you should end up on the better end of the
safe side. You just say the safe side.
Safe side. Tyler asked another question. Tyler wants to know, how do realtor fees work? Tyler, this is a loaded question. Okay, let me break this down for you. Sellers, when they hire an agent, have to pay a listing commission to list the house. Long ago, there was only the seller's agents got paid. There weren't buyer agents. All of the realtors, their job was to sell the house. But then, probably in the 1990s, buyer agency was introduced, and now today buyers can have buyer agents that just look out for their best interest, not the sellers. But because the sellers always took the burden of paying the commission for a long time, the sellers would pay the commission and split it with the buyer's agent. So commissions were always gotten from the seller. But now buyer's agents, if you're not totally confused, can also negotiate fees with their buyers. So they can negotiate a minimum commission, and they can negotiate flat fees as well. So the answer to your question is they're all negotiable. If you're a first time or not familiar with it, when you interview agents, ask them to explain it. Ask them what you're getting for those costs. And again, they're negotiable. So interview a few agents and find someone that you're comfortable with. The good news is, I said that a lot today. The good news is agents who are worth their commission and fees really are worth their commission and fees. Because it's a process. It can be confusing. It can be stressful. When you find a professional who can guide you through it and help you to avoid the pitfalls, it's well worth what you have to pay for the realtor's commission. Are we done already?
Yeah, I think so.
That was quick. Do we have any viewers? We have one.
What's your laptop?
That's my laptop.
The drawing.
Maybe we have to have this later and people get out of work.
Shake them up a little.
Nick Christie likes your face though, Lee.
Oh?
Did he write that?
Yeah.
Nick Star.
Who?
Nick Christie.
Oh.
What do you say? He likes his face.
Thanks, Nick.
Nick, you gotta come on and be a guest. Okay. Chelsea Wagner. Chelsea, you got the $25 gift card this week. We are psyched about that. We'll get that in the mail or I'll give that to you at church. Anything else you want to add?
Reduced commissions for veterans. We have that.
Oh, reduced commissions for veterans. If you're thinking of listing, seriously, this is the time. We're boosting a couple posts on Facebook. The inventory is down right now. And likely once the weather turns warmer, some sellers will list their property. But right now, listing, you're going to be like the only kid on the block. We checked Mensing Township, one house was available under $100,000.
Yeah.
So there's nothing out there. So it's a really good time to list. And if you're a first responder, a veteran, active duty military, or a pastor, you do get a reduced commission with Castlegate. Is that it?
That might be it. It's 5:15.
Ashley, you want to be in the video?
That's okay.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.